Assalamu alaikum and welcome to second lecture of business statistics. In previous lecture we have discussed the definition about uh, business statistics and branches of statistics. Now we are going to discuss some important terms related to statistics, which are very important in statistics. First of all, the first term is population. What is a population? In statistics, a population is an aggregate of individuals of interest, or the population or a statistical population is a collection or set of all possible observations, whether finite or infinite, relative to some characteristic of interest in which we are a characteristic in which we are interested, or a topic in which we are interested. So the related observations, all possible observations, or the set of all possible observations is called population. Population is an entire collection of people. If you are doing something about human beings, so collection of people. If you are studying about animals, so collection of animals, plants, or things from which we collect the information in which we are interested. So the in simple words I would say that population is a large group or aggregate of the individuals or the large group of data. The number of observations or items in a finite population is called the size of the population. The number of items or the number of observations in the population is called the size of the population, and it will be always represented by the capital N. So whenever this capital N comes, you should know that this is the size of the population. Next is population parameter, a numerical quantity which is measured from the population value is called population parameter, or simply a parameter. Anything which you measure, either you measure the mean or standard deviation. These are the formula. In the next slides we will learn, or in the next chapters we will learn how to measure these formulas. Or simply, if you want to measure anything about the values of the population, this would be generally called population parameter, or simply a parameter. Then you have sample, a small representative part of the whole population that consists of the characteristics of the respective population is called a sample. So a small and representative part of the whole population, or the subset, we say that it is a subset of population, is called the sample. It is taken from the population and it represents the population, but it is not the whole population. It's a just a small part of that population. So the number of observations or items in a sample is called the size of the sample. As the number of observations in the population was called the size of population, so here the number of observations in a sample is called the size of sample, and it is denoted by small n. Statistic or sample statistic, as we have earlier discussed this in the definition of statistics, which was the subject that in a plural sense statistic is represents any quantity which is measured from the sample. So this is that term which was used in the definition of statistics. Now here you can see that at the end there is no s at the end. So if the s comes at the end, this would be the this would be the subject statistics, but this is statistic is the numerical quantity which is measured from the sample value. Anything you measure from the sample, on not from the whole population, just from the sample, this would be generally called statistic. For example, the sample mean and the sample standard deviation. Okay, then we have variables. A characteristics that can take on different possible values is called a variable. Variable is a characteristic, or a variable is a column which can take on different values. For example, height of the students. The height of the students varies from one another, and the weights of the students also vary from one another. Rainfall at a place will be not in the same millimeters, it will be different every time. Then price of the commodities are also different. So the difference or variability, a characteristic that has variability, is called the variable. Now variables are of two types, two main types: quantitative variables and qualitative variables. Quantitative variables, if the variable is expressed numerically, it is called quantitative variable. If you numerically represent a variable, or the values of the variable can be numerically expressed. For example, age is represented in is in numeric form. Height is also represented in numeric form, weight and prices. So these are the examples for quantitative and qualitative. Now for qualitative, if the variable cannot be expressed numerically, that is, it refers non-numeric quantity, it is called qualitative variable. For example, intelligence cannot be written in numerically. Gender cannot be written numerically. Education level cannot be written numerically. So anything which cannot be expressed numerically, it is called qualitative variable, and the variables which can represent numerically are called quantitative variable. Now, quantitative variable further have two types: discrete and continuous variable. A discrete variable is a variable which can assume finite values, and their values have jump between any 2 points. Okay, for example, the number of student, number of goals, etc. Anything which you can count, or anything which is in whole number and countable, is called the discrete variable. And the variable which shows the uh, infinite points between the 2 points is called the continuous variable. Anything which you measure, for example, the height, distance, temperature, etc., anything that you measure or that consists of points, that decimal points, is called the continuous variable, and anything which you count is the discrete variable. Okay, now measurement scales. We have studied, you might have studied very many measurement scales of different subjects, and every field has its own measurement scale. So likewise, statistics also has its own measurement scales. There are four basic measurement scales which we will use in statistics. And first one is nominal, ordinal scale, interval scale, and ratio scale. So nominal scale, the classification or grouping of observations into mutually exclusive qualitative categories or class, is set to constitute a nominal scale. There is no particular order for grouping. For example, the gender of a student can be male or female, the marital status of a person. Okay, nominal scale and ordinal scale both are of qualitative variables. So here we will have some qualitative categories, and the example will make you more clear that, for example, you have gender. So whenever you fill a form, or whenever you go somewhere, so you will find only two options, or you will find the option for the gender, and male and female will be written there. So this is nominal scale. No order is given, no preference is given to anybody, but just you have to just select your gender. And likewise marital status also, that married or unmarried, you will just select them. So these are the nominal scale in which some categories are given to you. Then ordinal scale. It includes the characteristics of nominal scale and in addition has the property of ordering or ranking of the measurement. For example, the performance of a student in a class may be excellent, very good, good, fair or poor. So this excellent, good, very good and fair and poor are all different from each other. Only one will be selected at a time, like nominal scale, but these have order here, order included, and these all have different meaning. I think this is clear to you. Then interval scale, the measurement scale possessing a constant interval size, that is distance, but not a true 0 point, is called an interval scale. Here 0 point means that here the zero will not show its original value, because we all know that zero means nothing. If you say that you have got 0 marks in your test, means you have got no marks in the test. Or if we say that there are 0 spoons in a plate, which means is no spoon in the plate. But when we talk about temperature, we say 0 Celsius, and this 0 Celsius doesn't mean that there is no temperature. The 0 Celsius shows uh, a specific type of temperature. So here this is the main difference, that the 0 is not showing its true value, but it is indicating something. So this is called the interval scale. Now interval scale and ratio scale are both for quantitative variable, but in interval scale you can just perform the addition and subtraction, not the division or multiplication. You can just perform two uh, functions, which are addition and subtraction. And then at the last is ratio scale. It is a special kind of an interval scale where the scale of the measurement has a true 0 point as is origin. So 0 means origin. 0 is here 0 is in its original position. Like if you measure anything, and if you say that 0 weight means nothing, 0 volume means nothing, 0 length means nothing. So anything like weight, volume, length, distance, money you are going to measure is you can measure it easily in ratio scale. Now ratio scale can use all the functions like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and all other functions. So this if there is a comparison between scales, so ratio scale will be and the best scale, and it is known as the best scale because it involves the original value of 0, and it performs all the functions, or all the mathematical functions. The key to differentiate between interval and ratio scale is that the 0 point is meaningful for ratio scale. So this I have told you before, that for ratio scale 0 point is its in original meaning, but in interval scale 0 point is not in its original meaning. This is all for today. Thank you.